Hello everyone, welcome back to another Rosie video. I know it's been a while, it's been a couple months. Unfortunately, my life has been incredibly busy. I've wanted to make videos, I haven't been able to, unfortunately. As you can tell, new setup, new room. It's kind of cool, right? Uh, but yeah, this is where I'll be doing videos from now on. I'm in a new housing location, new house. And I'm excited to be back. But today I got something a little not different than what we've been doing. I'm gonna make myself a little smaller, but just the second set for Star Wars Unlimited has been. It's release week. It's when I'm making this on Wednesday right now. Friday the full set comes out. Pre-release was last weekend for me. I played in a pre-release tournament. I have a couple thoughts and opinions about the different leaders that are in the set. And I just wanted to get on here and share and give a tier list. And I've been making a bunch of tier lists. That's not at all what I wanted to do. We're gonna. I just had an idea for a different tier. Will be will be good in the future. So this is why I want to preface with saying regular tier list, but there are some leaders that I think are kind of mediocre right now. Some are terrible even, but in the future, I think that different cards will come out with different strategies and stuff like that. I can explain more when we get to those leaders. But some of them are definitely not at their full capacity with the set that they're originally releasing, and I think that's on purpose. Um, there's kind of like certain strategies that you see they want to do in the future, but they haven't really fleshed it out yet. And the game's only been out for two sets, and the set two hasn't even fully released. But, anyways, back to the video. Um, we'll start. We'll just go from left to right on the. I'm pointing at the screen. You can't really see what I'm pointing at, but left to right from the beginning. And the first one is Gar Saxon. Gar Saxon is the villain upgrade leader, essentially, is what he is. He's blue, black. I think every upgraded unit gets +1, +0, and then when he flips, if a unit dies with an upgrade, you get an upgrade back. I think is how he works. I think he's solid. I think he'll be A. Again, this is initial impression. I could be completely wrong. Set one, I thought Iden Versio was terrible. She ended up being my main deck, and I loved playing her. So this is completely my opinion. This is no way fact or it like there's nothing concrete here. And once the set comes out, different strategies will flesh out over the months. What's really good this Friday on release might be mid in the middle of set two's release. And there might be a different strategy that comes out. It's like, oh my god, this is the best thing the game has ever seen. So, again, nothing is concrete. This is just my opinions. Don't witch hunt me in the comments. Anyway, Kira is an S tier, I think. She's essentially the grit leader, even more so than Grand Inquisitor from set one. She can deal 2 damage to her horizontal side does 2 damage to a unit. You can exhaust them, and then or no, you exhaust her, deal 2 damage to a unit, and give that unit a shield token. That's pretty solid because shields nullify any amount of damage. So if it can live to 2 damage, there's no reason why you wouldn't ever just give something a shield token because they can live 10 damage in one hit or whatever it is. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Her flip side is essentially a board wipe on flip. It's like half of a board wipe, which if you're running your grit units and you're running anything that likes that, I mean you're basically making your whole. If you have 4 units and they're all great units and they all are based around taking damage of some kind, and you heal all of them and then deal damage to all of them, you are 9 times out of 10 going to be in a better spot than your opponent every single time you flip Kira. And I think that plays a lot of significance into it. But I just think she's solid. I think we're going to see some wacky strategies that come from her. But yeah, I think she's near the best leader in the set, if not the best leader. I unfortunately didn't get to see. I didn't play against her in the pre-release, but I do know that guy at my pre-release played Kira, had a little bit of success with her. I can't tell you anything else about it, but I know that he won a couple games with her. So we'll see. Um, Finn, I think is going to be C. There's not really a whole lot to write home about with him. You can sacrifice a shield, I believe, to give something experience tokens. there's cards that do his thing better than he does, or just like having to have something and then sacrificing and then getting something. I feel like is a little bit clunkier than some other leaders. For example, Ray just gives an experience token to something that's two or less. Luke Skywalker in the first set, he's giving a shield token, and these are all blue leaders, right? Luke Skywalker is giving a shield to a rebel unit. You know, that's just having to pay an additional cost and having something to target. I think is what makes his ability not as strong. Ray, however, I think is S tier. She is just the white weenie leader for this game as of right now. If you guys know what white weenie is, that's an aggro deck from Magic the Gathering where you play typically mono white and you're playing a bunch of small units and you're trying to swarm your opponents. Ray, you play small units, you boost them up with experience token. You can play great units. You can play like moisture farmers, which are 0/4 with restore 2 for ones. I mean, there's just a lot of different ways you can build Ray that is just going to give you the little guys and make them a little meatier. And I think making little guys meaty is a strong strategy. You know, I don't really think you can go wrong with Ray. Is essentially what I'm trying to say. I know Ray was really good in limited in the pre-release, and it will probably be really good in draft. For constructed, I think she will also be really good, but we'll see. That's one of my least confident S's, I think. Anyway, Hondo is in C. He based around the smuggle mechanic. I just don't think having something based around the smuggle mechanic is really going to be that beneficial because there's not really a whole lot of smuggle cards that are high impact in the way that you want to focus an entire strategy around getting the payoff for the smuggle. Smuggle is really good as a mechanic in certain decks, which I'll mention them later when we come across those leaders. In certain decks, certain smuggle cards are going to be absolute hitters. There's not really any bombs per se that is going to win you a game with a smuggle. So I think having a leader that's based around smuggle isn't necessarily going to be the best thing. Now, give it another set, give it another 2 sets or whatever, and we get a lot more smuggle options. Maybe Hondo's going to be super good. I don't know. I just feel like he's not really that strong right now. I know in limited and pre-release and probably draft too, just not really that strong because you had to get the cards to, like, you had to get a lot of smuggle options to make him work well. And obviously in constructed you don't have that problem, but I still don't see why you would play Hondo over Boba Green. And you know that's kind of very up in the air. But I don't know why you play Hondo over like Moff Tarkin or somebody. You know, it just there's not like a concrete winning path with Hondo, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Jabba, I think, is a B. Jabba's another one I didn't really get to see any. Nobody built him. I don't even know if anybody opened him at my pre-release, to be honest. I still haven't seen one in person. But based off the strategy, I do think bounties are going to be pretty strong. And unlike Smuggle, I think bounties give you so much benefit and so much gas a lot of times that having a strategy built around them isn't necessarily detrimental like it is for Smuggle. I think that having the bounty strategy, like you get so much payoff from it that it's okay to have a leader built around it. Is he going to be the best leader? I don't think so. So that's why he's at B. He's better than Hondo, but we'll see just in terms of how strong he really is going to be. The good Boba is another B, in my opinion. He's based around keywords. A keyword is anything that essentially like how do I describe this? A keyword is something that is an ability that is just a word. And the ability typically will have reminder text or something like that. For example, shielded is a keyword, comes into play with a shield. Overwhelm is a keyword. It means that whenever this unit has excess damage, it goes to the base instead of disappearing. Those are keywords. That's not really a good way to explain it. It's basically any abilities that's just one word, and they're always in red on the cards. So maybe that's the way you remember it. But yeah, a keyword is abilities, words, words that signify an ability. I don't know. I'm trying my best here. Um, I just think he's all right. Like another keywords are another strategy that I mean it's gonna be solid, but it's not gonna be anything crazy. It's not game winning from the leader alone. Um, and I think that plays a big impact into it too. Hunter is, but yeah, moving on. Sorry, I'm still thinking about Boba, but he, especially when you compare him to the villain Boba, which was the best leader by far in the first set, he just isn't. I don't know. He just seems very middle of the pack. That's why I want to put him B. He's not anything crazy, but he's not bad either. Like if you built Boba, I wouldn't be like, oh, you're gonna lose every game, you know. Um, but Hunter, I think, will be good in the future. He just the only cards he really has that plays around him right now is unique units, right? He's based around unique units, obviously, if you couldn't tell by that first sentence. But the Bad Batch characters are all unique units, and it's obviously intended for you to run him with the Bad Batch characters. They just don't seem super efficient. They're cool. I love the Bad Batch, and I think all the cards they did are really well. But playing them all together in a strategy that involves using like Omega, who lets you play a is it clone? It's clone. It's a Bad Batch card. I think it's clones though. Ignoring their aspect penalty, I think is okay right now. Like it's a cool little combo, but it's not like game altering in the sense of you're gonna win the game using this. So I think in the future maybe there'll be some cup cards that are like, oh, this is they're going crazy. But right now, don't really think it's anything crazy. Bosk, however, I think is a solid A tier and possibly S tier. Bounties are really good. I think Bosk does bounties better than Jabba does. He gets access to a lot of big time bounty hunters in red, like Chrysanthemum. I butchered that name. That's not how you say that. Chrysanthemum? Chrysanthemum? The Wookiee, the Black Wookiee. Um, Jango Fett, Dengar. I'm trying to think of some others, but all Dengar is a jump master. A bunch of cards that are really really solid for bounty based gameplay. I actually was playing against a guy on one of the online services who used Boss, and his first turn was explosive. He used almost every card in his hand for the first turn, but he ended with 2 units on his side, no units on my side. I don't know how he did it exactly, but he played Dengar, he played um, Stolen Land Speeder, and he had a bunch of zero drop bounties to ping enemies with Dengar and whatnot. Um, but yeah, it was like, oh, this guy could be legit. Aggro strategies, I think, would be pretty good with him. Um, but yeah, I think Boss will be solid. I think if more bounties come out in the future too, he's another card that could get really good in the future when you start doubling bounty effects in the future. Kylo Ren is another one that is just not really a whole lot of cards that go well with him right now. Obviously, his ship goes well with him, and then there's a couple other discard strategies. The legendary Rey goes with him, sure. He's a super super aggro deck. He flips on 4, and then he gets -1, -0 for every card in your hand. So he's a 5/4, but if you have no cards in your hand, he's a 5/4. If you have 2 cards, he's a 3/4. It's just really like a no stop, all gas, no brake type deck, which is cool. I there is room for that in card games, and there are some people that are gonna love him. Um, I think he'll get better in the future. Bo Katan is a solid. I'm debating between B and A, but I'd definitely put top of B for now. Um, it's just Mandalorian tribal, really is what it is, and there's so much Mandalorian support in the set that you really can't go wrong with building it. I guess is what I would say. She's solid. I She seems like a very beginner friendly deck too, which I like. But maybe I'm delusional and don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I think she's if you like Mandalorians, play Bo-Katan. Simple. Young Han Solo is definitely an S tier. Might be above Rey. It might be above Kira. We'll see. He is really quick. Um, I want to build a constructed deck with him and a bunch of Wookiees, because most of the Wookiees are grit units, and what he does is you get to play a unit for one less or whatever, and you deal 2 damage to it. So it gets to come in a turn earlier. It's a grit unit. You get to start with 2 damage already on it, so it's already trading higher than it would otherwise. Early on, that is. There's also some combos you can do with Young Han Green to get an extra resource turn 1. It involves any card like Reckless Gunslinger or Reckless Gunslinger that you could play for free with his ability and kill it right away. And then Spark of Hope, I believe, is the card that lets you, if a unit died this turn, you may put it into play as a resource. So you can start going into turn 2 with 4 resources, which is super strong. And then with a deck like his, where you're playing cards for cheaper already, well, you're potentially playing a 5 cost unit turn 2. That's crazy. I mean, no matter how you spin it, that is really really strong. Um, and even crazier if it's a 5 cost unit that uses grit. I mean, we are just cooking at that point. So yeah, I think he's really strong. I honestly might put him above Kira. I I don't know. Both impact the game, and both are hero or leaders that when somebody's playing decks, you're like, oh, they're gonna cook with it, you know. Um, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Cad Bane, I think, is a solid A. Damage for free off of playing cards is always good. Um, he's really really strong and limited, especially if you had pre-release, especially if you opened up a lot of underworld cards, which you do because this is a underworld themed set. um, he's strong. I mean, the damage is hard to ignore. I played Mandalorian at my pre-release. The only matchup I struggled with was Cad Bane, and that was because it was just a bad matchup for Mandalorian. But I mean, this guy was bouncing cards with McClunky. He was doing free damage off of that. He was doing free damage when he played the new card. He flipped Cad Bane. Cad Bane's got a huge body. He's a 2/8 with Raid 2. Why does he have 8? I don't know. But he's just a large boy. But yeah, I think he middle of the pack A is probably good right now for constructed purposes. We might get a month into set 2 and be like he's the best leader in the game because he plays with the Boba units really well, or what. I mean, there's so many different things because I think that's an underworld card too, you know. Um, but yeah, I think Cad Bane's strong. Yeah, A is definitely really good. Dr. Afra's another card that will be good in the future. She gets cards off the top of your deck into the graveyard, which it would be really really awesome for any graveyard centric strategies. There's not really any graveyard strategies yet in Star Wars Unlimited. That is a common theme in a lot of TCGs. So I think at some point we're gonna get more graveyard cards. We already do have graveyard cards. We just don't have enough to really make a whole deck centered around just that. So for right now, Dr. Afro's kind of in that little loophole of, or not really loophole, but that wormhole of just, oh, well, you'll be good in the future, maybe. But right now, you're kind of a stinker, you know. Fennec Shand is pretty solid. I put her in B, like here maybe. It's just an ambush based leader. My only thing is once you get above a certain, it's really strong in the beginning because you can ambush out your small units with her. But when you start to get to like, you know, you're playing 6 resource units, 7 resource units, and stuff, you're not really able to ambush those and trade for value, which is what you want to do with ambush. At a certain point, you have to win the game. So I think she's a great leader for getting you to stick around in games. I don't know so much about getting her to finish out games. But we will see. There is definitely potential there for sure. I don't know. I'm not really confident in that, but we will see. Lando Calrissian is another smuggle leader. He's the hero smuggle leader. I think he's better than Hondo. Uh, Heck, I'd even put him like there, maybe even higher. Like he's good. He definitely has the potential to be better in the future. In he's another like just straight. He's like Young Han, where he just like gets you straight value, but it's for smuggle. Which, like I said, there's not really any smuggle cards right now that are just like you drop and you win the game. Um, but yeah, I think he's solid. He's solid. He's not top of the list by any means. I don't think. Moff Gideon, I want to put either high B or A. I'd maybe even put him here, here. But he's solid. He's a starter deck commander. Um, I think he's pretty cool. He's kind of like Tarkin, but debatably better or worse, depending on who you ask. Um, he's another one that, I mean, we'll just see. Excuse me. Why am I yawning? We'll just see in the near future what really pays off and what doesn't. But Moff Gideon is solid. No complaints from me, really. Last but not least, Mandalorian. I might be a little biased. I'd even put him above Ray. I've been playtesting a lot of Mandalorian. Let me show you why. This is what I was. Hold on, let me increase the. Oh, can you guys see that? You see that right there? So at my pre-release, I bought an extra box after the pre-release event because I like Star Wars cards. And I pulled my first ever showcase, as you can see, The Mandalorian. So, by law, I now have to become a filthy Mandalorian sweat. I think he's good. So I played him in the pre-release. He was strong. I'm not gonna lie. He was really efficient. I won every single game I played with him, except for my matchup against Cad Bane, which, like I said, was just a bad matchup. I wanted to upgrade my units and have them fight him and fight his units. He was bouncing stuff to his hand, pinging my units, doing non-combat damage, so I couldn't get the benefits of whatever I was attacking with. Um, Bad matchup. Again, it's pre-release. I had 6 packs to build a deck with, and it was still super strong. And I didn't even get cards that I was like, oh, this is gonna be an awesome card. A lot of my rares were for villain, and a lot of my commons and uncommons were for heroes. So I was kind of in a tight spot of which deck to build. I got the showcase after the pre-release, so I did not get to play with it, which is kind of buns, but I have played with it since. Um, but yeah, I'm pretty excited about getting the showcase. That was an amazing feeling. Um, I thought I was gonna throw up. I'm not gonna lie to you. I started shaking and just freaking out. I never thought it would happen. Uh, anyways, Mandalorian, strong pick. He's just so efficient with what he does. I mean, if you play your cards right and you get to exhaust when he's horizontal, if you play an upgrade on anything, you get to exhaust a unit that has 4 or less remaining HP. Well, upgrades can be anything from like equipment type upgrades. It could be bounties. It could be um, like there's like items bounties, and then you can get. I guess it's not just items, but like devotion or entrenched or whatever. Like all of those work too. I really think Mando Blue is going to be really strong because there's a lot of good options there. Um, he's just strong. Like let's go through a turn or two. First turn, I play a unit. Opponent plays a unit. I take initiative, pass. Next turn, I play an upgrade on my unit. I exhaust my opponent's unit. They play a unit. I play another unit. I get to attack with my unit into 2 exhausted units in the base. That's every single turn 1 and 2 for Mandalorian. Without it, like that is what should happen every single time you play the deck. Now you're up an attack. They have 2 exhausted units. Next turn comes around. Let's say they take initiative. They attack and hit one of the units. Oh well, now You have one exhaust unit, one unit up. I'm gonna play another upgrade. I'm gonna play a bounty this time for 0, and I'm gonna get to exhaust your other unit that you just played down. So now you have 2 exhausted units. You killed one of my units. I have 1 unit up, and like you're just always like ahead one person, as long as you're playing people. And I don't know. The bounties being 0 and also counting as upgrades is just nasty. And then when he's horizontal, you get to exhaust once a turn or whatever, around. But when you flip them, it's every single time you play an upgrade. So if your opponent has 4 units and you have 4 upgrades in your hand, and they're trying to play events and do other stuff, they're playing overwhelming barrages and whatever else. I just play these 4 upgrades. I get to exhaust every single one of your units. That is, when he's flipped over 6 health or less. And essentially just played an AT-AT suppressor for. Obviously, that's very action demanding. That's 4 actions, right? And you're never gonna get a clean full exhaust on something. But the flexibility of being able to do that and being able to reduce what your opponents are doing, or reduce the impact of what your opponents are doing, and then also just reinforcing your board with either bounties for your guys to collect, or even like okay, Grogu is a unit card that comes with the starter deck. If you play a Grogu turn 1, he's a 2 resource 0/5 body that can exhaust a unit by exhausting himself. Okay, Grogu is also a force unit. Turn 2, I play a resource. I play Jedi Lightsaber on Grogu. Grogu is now a 3/8 who on attack gives the other unit -2/-2, and I get to exhaust a unit because I play Jedi Lightsaber on Grogu. That is disgusting. I mean, that is not even fun to even think about playing against. Anyways, I could talk all night about different strategies, different Star Wars strategies. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Do you think Mandalorian's going to be good? Do you think it's going to be buns? Do you think I'm wrong about any of these things? Let me know. Be nice and civil in the comments, and I would love to reply to you and have a back and forth conversation about why we think one way or the other. And let me know if you'd move anybody higher, move anybody down. Are you excited for a specific leader and getting to build around them and stuff? Are you waiting until, Kylo Ren gets more support in the future, or Dr. Aphra gets more support in the future? Is that a deck that interests you? Are you interested in Young Han, Kira, Mando, or Rey? Just let me know. Let me know down below. I will see you guys in the next video. Be sure to check out my other content. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.